picked a good week to talk to me about this.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is your dad's, how many years?
4.
4 years.
On Thanksgiving Day this year.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm going to cry already. Well,
I think this is a really good example. And take as much time as you need, babe.
okay.
This is on Thanksgiving will be the 4-year anniversary of the passing of Amy's father. And the other day we were talking and she was sharing the difficulty of this interesting, rich feeling of a lot of sadness and also a lot of gratitude. And
It's beautiful. Like, when you lose somebody that close to you, I think it either destroys you or it changes the way that you see the rest of your life in like the most beautiful way. There's always like a hole, like a gap, you know? But you see life so differently and you take in these things that you probably wouldn't have noticed before because everything has so much meaning and so much beauty behind it. And like the person that you lost them in the way that you knew them before, in their like physical presence and, you know, their support and their voice and their touch and their hug. You lost them in all of those ways, but you get this chance to rediscover them in everything, like flowers or the sun or a random stranger who gives you an uplifting compliment when you need it.
yeah.
And all of these things that happen that, you know, before you lost someone or before you lost something, you wouldn't have realized how significant they are.
Wouldn't have appreciated them.
Yeah. And it makes your life really beautiful in a really sad way.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. That's the interesting truth in this scenario is it makes your life. What was the phrase you just said? Happy in a sad way, or
It makes it really beautiful in a really sad way.
it makes your life beautiful in a sad way.
Yeah. I when I talk about my dad and I cry, it's like, it's not because I'm just sad. That's in there.
Yeah.
But I feel so much when I talk about him. And it's like, I feel so much that all I can do is cry because, like, I miss him so much. But it's just so, like, the magnitude of it is, like, overwhelming. And that's why I cry. I cry because I'm feeling so many emotions at once. And it's just hard to wrap your head around sometimes.
I gotta think about my brother, my best friend in the world, and not thinking about that. Sometimes in a quiet moment, and I reach for gratitude, or I feel numb. You know, as life sometimes makes you, because you get hit by the difficult stuff, and you don't feel like you're in tune with your heart, and you don't feel like you appreciate today, nor have you looked at a flower in weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and you told that person in the store that said, "Hey, nice jeans," to fuck themselves. You know, and I think about like that feeling you're talking about. I can resonate with it. Like, yeah, you would lose that person. You'd lose that person in their form, and you wouldn't be able to hug them anymore or pop their back before they go to bed. You know? And you'd miss that.
Yeah.
But if, like, man, it's tough. Like, if you really sit with it for a minute, there's something else in there. You know, it's like this deepest truth. Like, the worst pain you felt of losing somebody you cared about or thinking about losing them is at the very core connected with the thing that makes you love them in the first place. and the thing that makes you love life in the first place. It's like being able to see that your deepest sadness is also like in some way the most peaceful acceptance. Like they're there. Like that's where you get your theirs, where you can really sit with a child and say like, hey, yeah, you know, daddy lost his friend too, you know, and I know how you're feeling, and don't close up. Don't close your heart in front of that. Let that pain open you so that when you look at people, you almost have tears in your eyes just because you're like, God fucking damn it. You know, we here.
It shifts the way it shifts the way you see yourself and other people. Like, I think every interaction I have now is more positive. Because when you think about it, like, if you lose somebody that you love and somebody that you care about, when you remember them, you remember the best parts about them. Like, if I was going to sit down and talk about my dad, I wouldn't talk about, you know,
that one time.
One time he got so mad at me. He, like, you know, told me to go fuck myself.
Sure, there's a police report about it, but I'm not. I'm not gonna bring it up.
I'm not gonna, you know, think about any fights we had and whatever. Like, when I think about my dad, I think about all of the best things about him, and that changes the way you start to see people. It's like when you're gone, that's what people think about. They think about the positive things. And I guess because that's my focus so much when I think about him, is like I've started to just see positively, you know, about other people and myself. Like, that's what I choose to focus on now. I know everybody has their stuff, you know, but and some people it's harder than others to
sure,
you know, shield that and try and see the positive. But overall, it really does change your outlook in general, and I'm a more positive person.
That is the beauty of this conversation. That's the point of this conversation. Because how you deal with the incoming season of your life, where you went from, and this happens at different ages. Some people, they're younger. Some people, they make it to 30, 35 before they really have an encounter with death. Whether that's the death of a loved one or the death of a career or a death of a dream. I hope that listening to this conversation, you can pay attention to what we're trying to share with you right now, which is, it is of utmost importance how you deal with those things that happen. It's the utmost importance how you, after the initial sting begins to settle, how you begin to treat that. Like, do you really treat your father's passing as a rich moment of, not saying it's opportunity, it's not like a positive spin on the death of my dad, you know, it's like, hey, it's actually the greatest thing that ever happened to me. My dad died. If I had another one, I'd kill him, you know, like, it's not where you're like, I love losing people, you know, but the yin and the yang, man, you sit down with it and you go like, all right, it is the way it is. Now, what is it? What is it? And maybe if I sit long enough, I can feel these rich feelings that, and that's what I'm trying to say is like, what I'm hearing from Amy right now is growth. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a human being that has experienced pain and has decided that I'm going to keep my heart open in that pain and I'm going to learn through it. And then you talk to Amy now, and you know, she's always 2 steps away from crying about her dad because she loves her dad, but she's probably a few steps closer to you as a person because she recognizes a degree in this moment, the fragile nature of our existence that other people haven't. And that's the main part of this whole conversation, is that you have to be careful how you make sense of death. You have to be careful because once you get to a certain age, once you get to where we're at, your personality is no longer just where you're headed. You know, like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this. now you're starting to like lug this thing around all the time, which is like what has happened to you. And half of your personality is going to be talking about those things and representing those things that have happened. And if you're boxing them up as being ways that you were fucked over and forlorn and you were done wrong by the passing of time, you're going to be a fucking miserable person.
And loss is like inevitable. That's going to happen to everybody at some point. And I almost feel like you said, and I would never say like I'm lucky, you know, but but given the cards that I was dealt in that situation, I do feel lucky that I decided to take this outlook from it. And that I got that at a younger age, because I feel like the rest of my life now is going to be a lot more beautiful, and I'm going to appreciate it a lot more. Even with like a giant hole